Today, we're taking a look at a report from the Autonomy Institute called Givers and Takers. It really digs into this powerful and sometimes kind of hidden link between political donations and huge government contracts. I want to start with just a number, 1,294 pounds. Keep that number in your head. What do you think that could possibly be? Well, according to the report we're looking at, that's the amount of public money a certain group of companies got back in government contracts for every single pound they donated to a political party. I mean, how is a return on investment like that even possible?
And that question really is what this is all about. We're going to follow the money, just like the report did, to see how strong that link actually is between corporate cash going into politics and our money, public money, flowing out as government contracts.
So to get our heads around this, there are two big things you need to know. First, since the year 2000, anytime a company donates to a political party, it has to be on the public record. And second, the UK government spends, well, hundreds of billions of pounds every single year buying stuff from private companies. This report basically connects the dots between those two giant streams of money. So how did the report analyze this? Well, they came up with a pretty simple but really powerful idea. They call them givers and takers. So what exactly is a giver and taker? It's actually pretty straightforward. It's any company that you can find in two different places, on the official list of political donors and in the government's database of companies that have won contracts. Simple as that. And this simple diagram really lays it all out for us. You've got date A, where a company gives a donation to a political party, and then down the road at date B, that same party is in government, and that same company gets a public contract. That's the exact relationship this whole report is digging into. All right, so we get the idea, but what are the actual numbers here? What's the scale we're talking about? Let's follow the money. So the report found a total of 373 companies that fit this giver and taker profile. 373. And together, since the year 2000, those 373 companies have donated around £47 million to political parties. And what did they get back? Well, since just 2015, that same group of companies, they've been handed public contracts worth an absolutely staggering £60 billion. Okay, but here's where it gets really specific. The researchers didn't just look at any old connection. They decided to really narrow their focus. They only looked at cases where a company got a contract within just 2 years of donating to the political party that was actually in power at the time. So when they zoomed in like that with that tight focus, what did they actually find? Let's take a look at the breakdown by political party. So this table breaks it down for us. For the Conservative Party's time in government from 2015 to 2024, the report identified 29 of these giver-taker companies. They donated more than £11 million and then went on to get contracts worth £2.3 billion. For the Labour Party's first year in government, the report found 8 such companies. They donated over £580,000 and received contracts worth around £138 million. The report even names some names. It points out that 2 companies, Microsoft and PwC, had this kind of giver and taker relationship with both major parties. And 4 of them, Fujitsu, KPMG, Microsoft, and PwC, are also what the government calls strategic suppliers. Basically, that means they're so vital to how the government runs that they get over £100 million in contracts every single year. Okay, so after laying out all this data, the report doesn't just stop there. It actually shifts gears and starts talking about solutions, arguing that to get public trust back, the system needs some pretty big changes. And this quote, I think, really hits the nail on the head. It explains why this is such a big deal. It's the perception, right? The idea that contracts might be swayed by donations. That alone can really damage people's faith that their tax money is being spent in the best possible way. So what do they suggest we do about it? Well, they lay out 5 key steps. First, just a straight-up ban on giving public contracts to companies that have recently donated. Second, make individual donors say if they have major interest in any companies. Kind of closes a loophole. Third, log all big donations in real time so everyone can see them right away. Fourth, make them publish official company numbers with donations to make tracking way easier. And finally, bring back full reporting for defense and security contracts. So at the end of the day, what it all boils down to for the report is this: transparency. Maximum transparency. They argue it's the best way to protect against favoritism and just to make sure the whole system is accountable to us, the public. You know,
The link between the government and private companies is complicated, and it's definitely necessary. But the stuff we've just walked through really brings up some big questions about fairness and influence, doesn't it?
And that leaves us with the big one, right? The question that ties all of this together. How do we build a system where we can be absolutely sure that public contracts are being won because a company is the best, not just because it has the most money to donate?